So I'm just going to start at the top. Marie's oh bugga British accent was surprisingly hilarious. The shot of Tony winning the eating competition, but not only that, but licking the bowl clean. I've seen that 3 times now. It gets me every time. So we go back to the house, and Sylvia's licking her war wounds. She's got some bite marks, and we see, I think, what's the strongest alliance, not in terms of like how powerful they are, but in how much they're going to stick together with Cam, Kayla, Sylvia, and Marie. Now, none of them, I think, are that strong on their own, either physically or socially, and those kind of alliances are the most loyal, so I could see this one staying mostly the whole game. And this alliance is only solidified by this big note debacle. Now, I love how seriously the show took it with the editing, showing us the different rooms, showing Marie in the mugshot, showing her being 6'8", which I thought was funny. But getting back to the note, look what the note was able to do. So before Brittany was very much seemed to be on the outs with all the girls in the house. Now Brittany, Cara Maria, Jemmye, and Veronica seem pretty united as a unit against this other clique now, led by Marie. So I don't know who planted the note, but it definitely seems to have helped Brittany more than anyone else. So I'm not saying anything, just saying. And then on the guys' side, we have Devin trying to lead this underdog alliance against Johnny Bananas. So we have the rookies, we have Josh and Victor. We have Shane, who doesn't seem to have a lot of friends in this house. He used to have friends way back in the day. Not a lot of friends now, it seems like. And we also have Nelson, who is Corey-less, so basically alone. And then last we have Brad, or the Brad. And for the challenge, first of all, Sylvia's grenade is a dud, so I guess there's that now. I hate how unfair the show is sometimes, where last week Melissa, she hurt her foot, so she wasn't allowed to compete and she went directly into the elimination. This week, both Sylvia and Natalie are sick, but they don't have to go directly into the elimination, they get a pass. So the show's so arbitrary sometimes. I guess you could say Melissa hurt her foot and it's kind of her fault because she was goofing off, but it still seems like a stretch. So for the challenge, it's a water challenge. We get to see Brittany's excited for the challenge phase. Now Brad says that the people on his team, Cam, Kaylee, and Nelson can't swim. Wonder why they can't swim, Brad. But to be fair to him, they did swim for a combined total of 0 meters. And it always amazes me that people like Leroy and Cara Maria, who for them the challenge is a yearly part of their lives at this point, they always come back year after year. They know there's going to be water challenges. I don't know why they can't practice anymore. Maybe they do. And then Tony dominating this challenge, just like the eating challenge. I don't know what's better, his lung capacity or his stomach capacity. And now we get to the really interesting and really funny part of the episode. Now, Johnny pushes really hard to throw in Victor. What's interesting is Natalie was the one who was telling him to throw in Victor, but I think Johnny came up with that independently. I really just don't think he's being that influenced by Natalie. I think he just doesn't like Victor. And going into the Inquisition, we see Shane coming in irate and very melodramatic. He says that the decision to not put in Joss was the worst decision he's ever seen on the challenge, considering how many seasons we've had. I find that a little over the top, but regardless, Devin comes in looking very sharp in a suit, very calm and collected, and then there's Victor. Now Johnny says whoever starts spilling the most tea is going to be safe. I don't really understand what he's referring to, but regardless, Shane just starts dumping tea everywhere. And then Tony, who's either drunk or has suffered serious food poisoning and brain damage from the last 2 challenges, says he's Scottie Pippen, Kyle is Dennis Rodman, and y'all better not try to come at Michael. So for anyone who doesn't get the reference, he's talking about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. There were other supporting characters on the Bulls team. And Kyle says, he calls me the character Dennis Rodman like he's out of a Dickens novel. And just when Johnny Bananas' ego couldn't get any larger, I mean, look at me using his stupid nickname that he came up with, Tony goes and calls him Michael Jordan. Like, what are you doing, Tony? And then we get another note. He or she, whoever's leaving them, is on an absolute spree. This one says, you're getting played so hard, you don't even know it. Just taunting them. Now, Marie cracks under the pressure, and I'm pretty sure she didn't write the notes. So whoever was writing the notes, the strategy was risky, but it seemed to have paid off. And going back to the Inquisition, I really do think Shane played himself a bit. I think he was so scared to go in that he was basically willing to throw everyone else under the bus, and he's ruined any chance of really being trusted by this underdog alliance, which I think is going to form. So he did something where he may have gotten out of the elimination for this one round, but long-term in the game, I think he's kind of screwed himself. And now what's going on with romance? I think Joss is in a romance with himself. I mean, this is the second time we've seen him do some kind of muscle man routine. First it was in the kitchen, cleaning the kitchen. Now he's oiling himself up with Victor. Nicole, still crushing on Melissa. Melissa has really done a number on Nicole. But by far my favorite, Kaylee, first of all the British accents on the show that I love hers the most. Nelson, I think they're very cute together. It looks like Nelson even shaved some of his beard for her because she said she didn't like it. And then we have Johnny. Now, Kaylee calls Johnny an old, ugly version of Mark Wahlberg. I don't know why she calls him an old Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's way older than Johnny. And Nelson does not like this flirtation at all, makes a beeline right over, starts heavily making out with Kaylee. And from what we get in the sneak peeks, we haven't seen the last of this little love triangle. And then last thing I'll say, Marie says it's like before the times of the internet, before 2001. This is actually pretty close. Now, the internet's been around for a while, but what she's talking about is the World Wide Web, which technically has been around since 1991, but she's only 10 years off, so I'll give her some props for that. And then I lied. This time, last thing, Kyle, who at one point said, I don't want to toot my own horn. Earlier in the episode, it's like my dad didn't have much, so he sacrificed everything just for me and my brothers. If I win anything, it's going right to him. It's like, we get it, Kyle. You're perfect. You don't have to rub it in. And he really does look like a swashbuckling pirate. I forget where that started from, but it totally fits. And then we get our sneak peek. I don't know if you can call it a mid-season sneak peek. I still feel like we're only like 10% done the whole season. But regardless, it looks like a great season, and I'm really excited for it.